Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on this channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about breaking the narcissistic abuse cycle for good. This is a tricky one to make. I almost called this video like how, and it's not to call anyone out. I'm going to tell you what it means, but like I could almost call it, how bad are you going to let it get before you're going to make a change? Because for me, I had to go homeless twice over it before I would literally decide to cast these people out of my life and heal from the inside out. You see, in the narcissistic abusive cycle, what happens is they distract you from your own healing, your own transformation, your own sovereignty. And each obstacle seems worse than the last. There's a really compelling reason for you not to decide to stop and heal. There's a really compelling reason. Often financially, it will be really inconvenient because they put you in traps, guys, for you to decide enough is enough. You'd have also normalized abuse. You'd have got used to really bad behavior. It would be normal for people not to acknowledge you, validate you, make you feel safe, secure. You'll think you've got a handle on it. But the problem is every time, the cycle goes around, it gets worse. So the obstacles you thought you had that you could deal with, they're going to trauma bond you. Trauma bonding requires on shock. It requires on traumatizing, which means that you think you've got a handle on them. You think you know their tricks. You know their patterns because narcissists are predictable, right? Like I said to you, they're soul detached. I made in the last video that they actually try and merge with your soul. They do merge with your soul because they're soul detached. But the thing is, they're a soul detached human working with an entity of consciousness that follows the same repeat cycle. Rinse, wash and repeat. But at the same time, they have to keep you traumatized, which means that their behavior gets more and more shocking. They've got to do something that's going to consistently get you on level ground and then shock you. Get you on level ground and then shock you. When you've got a false sense of security and safety with them, you think you've got a handle, maybe you've had a bit of a love bomb stage, maybe you think you're on steady ground, they're going to come and shock you again. How bad are you going to let it get before you decide it's time to heal? How bad? Because I promise you, I told you, when I ended the cycles for good, I knew I was going into a shitstorm. I knew I was going to have to deal with what came up. It wasn't going to be easy to break the cycle. I wasn't going back, so I was going to have to deal with everything I was afraid of, right, that I was avoiding by staying. But at the same time, my freedom was on the other side, my manifestations, my abundance, my joy, and my actual life. How bad are you going to let it get before you break the cycle? Guys, it only actually goes one way. It never gets better. And people write to me and say, well, you won't believe it, but this happened and that happened, and this is even worse. And people they've seen me like this, but they've never seen it this bad, or it gets worse over time because they've got to keep shocking you. The energy works through people. If you keep attracting narcissists, you haven't broken the cycle. When are you going to decide it's time? It's on you. It was on me, and I knew it was on me. It's not about calling you out. It's about telling you the truth. It's on you to break it. It's never going to be convenient. It's never going to be convenient in your circumstances. It's never going to be convenient. It's when you're going to take your power back and make a choice and be willing to walk through what it takes. Do the best for yourself by getting yourself equipped energetically, spiritually, emotionally, with the best tools you can to deal with a storm. Because normally, like, we're enmeshed and we're tied in and we are trapped with these people. It's never going to be easy in the middle part. But every day you waste your life in this cycle, it's literally a day, it's more than a day on the other side. Every obstacle looks daunting. The longer you stay, the obstacles pile up and look even worse. It could be a health condition. It could be financial conditions. It's going to be inconvenient for you to break free. You might have to cut off a whole community like I did. A whole community, everyone you know, you might have to in order to break free. The payoff is worth it. But the payoff's not going to happen immediately. But if you're sovereign and you understand the principles I'm teaching you, then you will make it through to a much better life. But if you're thinking, I'll just deal with what's in front of me, I'll just get through this obstacle and then maybe I'll heal. You don't know, you're literally going to go round the cycle again in a whole new way and get even more eroded as it continues. That's what happens. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. Now, when you work in abundance, when you come on the other side, the better it gets, the better it gets. You're going to go on to a better and a better life. But in the narcissistic abuse cycle, it's costing you your health. It's costing you your finances, even if you think you've got none, right? It's costing your ability to attract abundance and financially achieve. Because it erodes your manifestation. The longer you stay, the longer... the more you're, it's not like, it doesn't take long to heal in what I teach people, but you're basically signing up for even more trauma, even less best health, even less best finances. Yeah? These people have often played an important role in our life, or they had a role that they've misplayed, like a mother, like a father, like a spouse, like someone you should have been able to trust, but they were imposters in that role, right? It's an illusion, whatever they've cast, but what would it take for you to just completely break away? Because I'm teaching you, be energetically strong, be emotionally strong, the emotional skills, the energetic skills to be able to do that, but ultimately it's your choice. But if you're not making that choice because you think what you've got in front of you is a new obstacle, a new reason why you should delay your healing, that's exactly what they do. They distract you from your own transformation, your own healing and your own good by the next big thing, the next thing that's going to get your attention, the next thing that's going to sidetrack you, the next thing that's going to overwhelm you and make you want to stay in the cycle and feed it even more and more. When things are acute, when things are distressing, when things seem like the biggest obstacle, it's exactly the time to choose yourself. That's when I did it. When it got it took me that far. I wish I'd done it a lot earlier. But often it is that moment where you decide enough is enough, where you actually need to. Not, I won't choose my healing now because this has got so bad. It's getting so bad because the universe is showing you how bad are you going to let it get before you're going to say, my life isn't working this way. I've got to heal and transform. The next big obstacle is going to happen. And every time you go and heal and every time you think you're on level ground, it's going to come again. It's a cycle. It goes round and round and round and round. And then you've got to ask yourself, why are these people still in my life? What would it take for me to break free? Mostly a decision, right? And being willing to do those hard things in a short space of time that are going to give you a much better life in the long term. We've got to have a much bigger vision. You can't think big vision when you're traumatized, but you've got to start understanding that your life is a bigger vision, no matter how old you are. And however old you are, it's the youngest you're ever going to be. So what now? Right? If things are getting worse, it's time to choose your healing. If things are getting worse, it's time to break free. If you're dealing with an obstacle that seems so big, right, should be the reason that you decide enough is enough. Because it's only going to get bigger. You won't imagine what could get worse. You won't imagine what they can do to even try and keep you on the same trajectory, but they will. There'll be another time. And if you see things are getting worse and your health is getting worse and your stress is getting worse and the obstacles are getting bigger, it's time to heal and transform and break free. So if you can join Sovereign, please do. It's still open. It's designed for this. But I can't decide it for you. Only you can decide when it's enough. When you're ready to just let it all go and create a completely different reality for yourself. No one can choose that. Only you can choose that. Yeah? And every reason why we don't do that is valid, But all I would say, which I think anyone would say that has ever come on the other side of anything, is they wish I did it sooner. I wish I'd done it sooner. I knew I should. I wish I'd done it a lot sooner. All right, my loves, lots of love. I'm going to put the link to Sovereign in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon.